What is the state of democracy in Latin America following the dismissal of Paraguay's President Hugo Chávez's re-election bid in Venezuela and the refusal to recognize results of the Mexican election by the main contender?
I went to Washington this week and made a speech basically about this issue. The Carter Center has began its election monitoring process in Latin America, in Nicaragua and Panama. We've done elections in Peru. We've done 3 or 4 elections in Venezuela. We've done elections in Paraguay and so forth, and helped with in Bolivia. So those are the kind of things that we've done, and also in Mexico. So we've learned a lot about democracy in Latin America, and they have made a lot of progress. Some of the problems that John mentioned are serious, but I think that the elections in Venezuela, although some people have criticized the result, which is Hugo Chávez having won, there's no doubt in our mind, having monitored very closely the election process, that he won fairly and squarely. As a matter of fact, of the 92 elections that we've monitored, I would say that the election process in Venezuela is the best in the world. They have a very wonderful voting system where you go in and you touch the screen and vote the way you want to, and instantly that touchscreen result is recorded and can be transmitted electronically into the central counting headquarters, but it also prints out a paper ballot. And when you get through voting, you can not only have voted electronically, but you can look at the paper ballot and make sure that's the way that you wanted to vote. Then you put the paper ballot in a box, and you can go back and check the results later on if there's any doubt about it. So this is what is going on in Latin America. Mexico had their first honest election, and the Carter Center was the only monitor invited in. Mexico now, and all the other countries in Latin America, except one, that is Venezuela, and another one in North America, that's the United States, every other country has public financing of all the election process. If you qualify to run for office, you get public financing, and outside money does not affect the outcome of the election. Mexico, for instance, puts a $23 million limit on what a candidate can spend. And if you're an outgoing president, you're forbidden by law from even campaigning for the candidate of your own party. The United States election process is shot through now with, I'd say, financial corruption. We have one of the worst election processes in the world, in the United States of America. And it's almost entirely because of the influx of excessive amounts of money. And as you all probably know this, Mexico has a limit, I said, of $23 million. You know how much money I raised when I ran against Gerald Ford? 0. And he raised the same amount. You know how much I raised to run against Ronald Reagan? 0. We got public financing for their election. You know how much money is going to be raised this year in the United States for the president and the Senate and House elections? $6 billion. $6,000 million. And that money comes from people who now, under the Supreme Court ruling, don't have to be identified. They can give it secretly, and a lot of it can come from corporations partially owned by foreigners. So you see that this influx of money has now resulted in a total transformation of America into a negative campaigning process, both parties. In Mexico, they outlaw any negative commercial on television. And almost all of our $6 billion, one way or the other, is spent just to tear down the reputation of your opponents. So I would say that compared to the United States, Latin America has gone beautifully toward democratic elections. When I was elected president, almost every country in South America was a military dictatorship. But our human rights policy resulted in a transformation, and now all of them in South America are democracies. And my hope is that in the future, either the Supreme Court will reverse its stupid ruling, or the Congress will correct it, and let candidates be financed by the $2 per person checkup, or whatever it is now, that individual voters give. That's what other countries do, and I hope we'll get back to that as well. I might say not only am I talking about South American countries, Latin American countries, but also all over Europe and every country that we monitor. The ones I mentioned today, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, the Congo, they all have public financing of elections so that people that want to bribe a candidate or make an investment for influencing the outcome of the election and also the outcome of law writing in the future will not be playing the major role in elections. I feel very strongly about this, and I think I've made that clear.